I'm Mwayi Gowelo with Business Time. This is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news making headlines. In the program today, Malawi Revenue Authority maintains a stance on full rollout of the Electronic Invoicing System EIS amidst resistance from some traders. We have this and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. In our main story in the program, Malawi Revenue Authority has maintained and defended the full rollout of the Electronic Invoicing System EIS amidst resistance from some traders. The system, which was officially rolled out on the 1st of May 2026, has faced resistance, leading to its postponement on 3 different occasions since its initial August 2025 planned rollout. Meanwhile, MRA Commissioner General Felix Kingston Dambulasi told press on Tuesday that the authority will continue with the planned rollout. Benedetta Jiwandamia was there and she has the details.
The press briefing that the Malawi Revenue Authority, MRA, held on Tuesday was mainly to provide clarification on the Electronic Invoicing System, EIS, which just rolled out on 1st May. Following its rollout, there has been some resistance from traders, which has even resulted in some traders closing their shops on Monday and Tuesday, especially in Blantyre, Limbi, as well as the commercial division of the city. And also the argument on the part of the traders is that they are worried about their privacy, but also they want more talks on the same to see the way forward. However, in his statement to the media, the Commissioner General for Malawi Revenue Authority clearly stated that since the system is up and running and there's no turning back, and if there should be negotiations going forward, it will be just MRA providing support and assistance to those specific traders that will be having technical difficulties, that will be facing technical difficulties on boarding into the system. Anything else, no more discussions, the system is up and running. And this is part of what the Commissioner General said during the press briefing.
The Malawi Revenue Authority, MRA, is informing the general public and all taxpayers that the Electronic Invoicing System EIS has now been fully rolled out as part of our ongoing efforts to modernize the tax administration and improve service delivery. The EIS is replacing the electronic fiscal devices, EFDs, which were introduced in 2014. Prior to the introduction of EFDs, businesses were using manual handwritten receipts. While EFDs marked an important step towards automation at the time, they have since become outdated, costly, and inefficient for modern business operations. Over the years, the taxpayers have raised concerns about the high cost of compliance associated with EFDs. These devices are expensive to acquire, maintain, and operate. An EFD machine costs approximately 2.5 million Malawi kwacha, and the maintenance costs are equally on the higher side. The system also posed technical limitations that made it difficult for MRA to effectively trace and track VAT transactions. You may also recall that when EFDs were first introduced, there was resistance from the business community. To address this, MRA implemented initiatives such as the Receipt Langa campaign to encourage consumers to demand fiscal receipts and promote compliance. Today, times have changed, and technology has significantly advanced. It is against this background that MRA has introduced Electronic Invoicing System, EIS, to replace EFDs. Let me emphasize that EIS is not a new tax. It is simply a new, modern, and efficient system for issuing invoices and managing tax records. I am pleased to inform the nation that more than 7,500 out of the 9,000 VAT registered operators have already onboarded onto EIS and are actively transacting on the platform.
The Malawi Revenue Authority has since appealed to business operators, especially those that have closed their shops, to embrace the system and also open their shops to allow business to continue.
It is therefore unfortunate that some traders have chosen to close their shops in protest against the implementation of EIS. It is even more concerning that some are reportedly threatening fellow traders who wish to continue operating. Such actions are counterproductive. The closure of shops negatively affects businesses themselves and undermines the growth of the Malawi economy. MRA has demonstrated flexibility and commitment to stakeholder engagement by extending the transitional period on 3 occasions. EIS was launched in August 2025, as we may recall, with an initial deadline of 2nd November 2025. This was later extended to 1st February 2026 and subsequently to 1st May 2026. Government has also made efforts by revising the VAT threshold upwards from 25 million to 50 million to ensure that only major traders are accounting for VAT. In addition, MRA has been conducting extensive training sessions across the country to equip taxpayers with the necessary knowledge and skills to use the system effectively. These efforts will continue. Let me therefore appeal to all businesses to embrace EIS and resume normal operations.
Tobacco sales commenced on Tuesday at the Mzuzu floors, with a slight improvement registered in the rejection rates on the auction market compared to the other markets. The rejection rate hovered around 70%, while prices ranged from $1.20 to $2.80 per kilogram on the auction market. On the contract market, the price was between $1.40 to $3.05 per kg. Mwayi Gowelo witnessed the opening of the market at the Mzuzu auction floors, and from there he reports.
On the opening day, the Mzuzu auction floors had a total of 1,339 bills offered for sale, which means about 923 bills were rejected. Patrick Gondwe, a farmer from Uviri in Lumpi district, could not hide his frustration after tobacco from his club fetched prices as low as $1.40 per kg, despite being grown under contract.
Ulimi wa chaka cha mawa ukhala uvuta fuka papa timu sa capital yose sitipezaso phindu ya.
With many bells from our club sold at less than $1.40, it puts our business at risk for the next farming season. I have laborers who are expecting to be paid from the proceeds I get today. How will I manage to clear their arrears?
Minister of Agriculture, Irrigation and Water Development Rosa Mbilizi, while acknowledging that the rejection rates at the Mzuzu auction floors were slightly lower than those recorded at other markets, appealed to buyers to offer fair prices to farmers. Mbilizi attributed the rejection rate to overproduction and global market dynamics, which have pushed international buyers to the cautions.
The main issue is the fact that globally there is overproduction of tobacco, not only in Malawi. So the off-takers to whom the buyers sell the tobacco are actually having a lot of options on where to buy and how much they should buy. So they are taking a little more precautions to make sure that they buy at the right time. So that's why they are taking too long to place their orders to our buyers here in Malawi.
Mbilizi then warned against smuggling tobacco to other countries, which she said undermines the formal market system. Meanwhile, Tobacco Commission Board Chairperson Daniel Gunya pledged to tighten regulation of production quotas to prevent excessive supply, which has contributed to high rejection rates and low prices. Tobacco Association of Malawi Farmers Trust President Abel Kalima said although rejection rates remain a concern, there are encouraging signs in pricing compared to previous seasons.
I'm happy to see that there is an improvement in terms of pricing, but not on rejection. On pricing, I think the buyers are honoring the agreement, what we agreed as the industry, that they have to put something on top of the minimum price has been offered by or been given by the government. I can see the rejection is again on the higher side because the growers grew the tobacco to sell. So the day of selling is today. The place of selling is here. So I wonder why rejecting them. Where else can the grower go and sell the tobacco?
Malawi is expected to produce about 107 million kgs of tobacco this season, which is 14% higher than the recommended 170 million kgs. Similar rejection trends have been recorded at Lilongwe auction floors on the opening day, where about 98% of auction tobacco was rejected and 96.7% at Chinkhoma auction floors in Kasungu. This year, the number of buying companies had dropped to 8 from 11 last season. This far, about 5.9 million kgs of tobacco have been sold, raking in around $12 million at an average price of $2.16 per kg.
Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program where we bring major business and economic news making headlines. We'll be right back after these messages. Conglomerate Nico Group has a firm commitment to shaping corporate leaders with special prowess for growth. Nico Life Insurance Company Limited Chief Executive Officer Mwayi Gowelo said this when he decorated 19 employees who graduated under the Leadership Edge program. He explains.
So these graduates have been taught on leadership, how to execute on projects, how to lead others, and how to manage their colleagues. So they've been taught how they can help us to grow our business and can help us to manage our projects better. So as a company, we want to grow. As a company, we also want to have greater impact on Malawi. And for us to be able to do that, we need leaders who have been trained to be able to execute on the big projects that we want to execute in this country. So these are the leaders that we are grooming so that in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, these will be the future CEOs, these will be the future chief operations officers, these will be the future leaders that will make Nico even greater than it is today. So what we want for Nico is that when we are serving our customers, they know that when they associate with the brand Nico, they always get excellent service. So for us to be able to do that, we have to train our staff to understand those very standards that we expect of them. And then after we have trained them, we want them to take that message back to all their colleagues. So these are the leaders, these are the managers that are going to take this message back to their colleagues and lead them to that excellence that we expect in their customer service. So Nico is going to be the leader in digital technology. Take it from me. You know, we have Nico Technologies within the group, and we are working really hard to ensure that we digitize everything that we do. We don't want any more waste of paper. We don't want anyone filling little pieces of paper all over the place. We want to join the digital world. We want to be world class for the sake of Malawi. I think leadership training is essential, not just for Nico, but for the rest of our potential leaders in Malawi. We want to make Malawi great. So all these problems that we see around us will only be solved by great leadership. And we are proud to be taking all our students and giving them world-class leadership education so that tomorrow Malawi will have future great leaders.
Spark System Limited last week unveiled a national data center in Lilongwe, which will help stop Malawi's forex bleed from offshore data storage and turn the country into a regional hub for secure cloud services. The facility will provide colocation services, among others. Spark Systems Managing Director, Wisely Piri, said the investment was timely as Malawi pushed to become self-sustainable in digital innovation.
Hosting the data center, I think changes a lot of things in the country. We're talking about innovations. We're talking about Malawi becoming self-sustaining by 2063. I think that's the direction that we want to go as a country. It means all of us will have to come into it and look at the digital economy and help. But then when you look at most of the companies, when you want to host your own systems, the cost of hosting those systems is very expensive. You talk about converting your press, for example, into server hosting, where you'll be able to keep servers in. So to make that purpose built, it becomes expensive. Then you're looking at the power, the cooling and all that. So most of the companies, they decided now to be hosting data outside. So you host data outside, that means you're not the owner of that data. We talk about data sovereignty, who owns the data? So then you've hosted the data outside. The payment is in dollars. We're having issues again with dollars. So that's why you're having that development in terms of the technology sector is going a bit lower. Then you've got the issue to do with the smaller companies that cannot create their own server rooms, data centers and all that. So for us, bringing in and creating a data center, it's like we've created a space whereby the cost of hosting the data should be way cheap as a start to both the bigger enterprise and the smaller ones. And even for the government, they should be able now to enforce the Data Protection Act, where you say our data should be kept in here. So if you're saying you keep the data in Malawi, the question is where are you going to keep it? Now they can easily say, and so no, we've got people that are having data centers in the country. So it changes a lot of dynamics if you want to develop as a country. Again, coming into Spark, we're looking at this beyond Malawi. We're not looking at Malawi alone. Like I said, we can host up to 120 racks. And 120 racks, just one rack, you're able to have petabytes of data, which is more than enough for Malawi, but we're talking about 120. We're looking at hosting data for people that are outside. As a company, we've already been exporting our services. As Spark, we've gone into 10 countries where we're able to do most of these ICT systems. At this point now, we're looking to say, can we host the data? If we're hosting the data, then now they should be able to pay us using the Forex that we're looking at. So it's one way of even generating the Forex for the country. So if I'm being honest, I think the ICT sector has really tried in the country. People are developing systems, but where do you host those systems as a start? Do we have the ecosystem to be able to grow? So it's created these issues on those upcoming entrepreneurs in terms of the systems.
Manager at e-government, Paul Kantambi, said the private sector's investment complements state policy. He said he will support software development, cybersecurity services, system integration, and end-user computing.
The launch of this data center by Spark Systems Limited is a milestone that needs to be celebrated as a country. You will recall that within the Malawi 2063 agenda, there are several items that have been outlined in that agenda document. One of which is to transform the country of Malawi into one that's going to self-sustain itself in terms of economy. And to achieve that, it calls for modernization of how we've been doing business as a country. And you cannot talk of modernization without touching on digitalization. Again, to touch on the point of digitalization, in the State of the National Address that was made in Parliament in the month of February this year, 2026, the President of the Republic of Malawi, His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, made a directive that ministries, departments, and agencies ought to embrace digital technologies. And once you talk of digital technologies, it means you need to implement systems. And for systems to be implemented, there ought to be data that's involved. And that data needs to have a house where it is kept. So the introduction of this data center by Spark is going to act as a platform where such data can be securely stored. Yes, there's been a drive to move slowly from depending on foreign partners. Even the establishment of this data center by Spark is one effort that has worked well with that approach.
In other business news, the Ministry of Gender has commended Telecommunications Network Malawi, TNM, through its mobile money platform, TNM Mbamba, for enhancing the efficiency, speed, and transparency of social cash transfer payments in Mangochi district. Speaking during the ongoing disbursement exercise on Thursday, Ministry of Gender Principal and Social Affairs Officer Gilbert Kaponda said the partnership with TNM has strengthened the delivery of cash transfers to beneficiaries across the district. TNM Mbamba General Manager Christopher Sukasuga said the company is proud to be supporting government in delivering social cash transfers to vulnerable households in Mangochi, where more than 27,760 beneficiaries are being reached.
We are very excited and happy to be partners with government in this particular project, reaching out to know most vulnerable people in the country. With this mobile money transfer, mobile money transfers comes along with it lots of benefits. The first one being the financial inclusion. You've seen from the beneficiaries that are receiving money here. Some of them have actually had that experience of financial inclusion for the first time from Mbamba. And in the past, government used to disperse using manual processes, where, for instance, in this case, we dispersed over 5.9 billion from yesterday to today. In the past, to disperse that 5.9 billion Malawi budget to 30,000 beneficiaries, it could have taken the government maybe 3 months, 4 months. But with the TNM Mbamba, this whole process has been simplified. So, as partners of government, we are very excited that we are playing a very important role in bringing efficiency to the government processes. So, largely, I would say there were two major issues. Some beneficiaries were not on the original list, owing to the fact that when you want to be registered on Mbamba, there are some requirements that are required for you to register your number on Mbamba as per regulation. So we rely a lot on what we call KYC, which basically comes from the national identification document that people or rather the Malawians are supposed to have. But if you are aware, you know that we had challenges with the national IDs. Not everybody got their national IDs at the same time. So, being a regulated space, we had to ensure that whoever comes on the Mbamba platform must at least fulfill those requirements of bringing their national ID documents so that they can register on the platform. But we are happy and glad to say, with the help from government, we've managed to register almost everybody who is supposed to receive it. That's why you see from today's disbursement, we have some beneficiaries who have received as much as 800,000 Malawi kwacha. And this 800,000 Malawi kwacha is covering the arrears that they were supposed to receive some time back and that they were not able to receive owing to this fact, this challenge that I mentioned of national ID.
Well, with that story, we have come to the end of today's edition of Business Time here on Times Television. This is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Mwayi Gowelo. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.